MLB Trade Deadline 2025. 4 teams still undecided on buys, sells. Plus playoff chances breakdown. Rosenthal. 4 MLB teams still not entirely sure of their trade deadline direction. As the MLB trade deadline approaches at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Thursday, here are 4 teams that, crazy as it sounds, are still not entirely sure of their direction, according to league sources. Tampa Bay Rays. Playoff odds, 19.8%. Are they the team that went 25-9 from May 20th to June 26th, or the team that is 8-18 since then? The Rays, plus 56 run differential is better than that of the AL East leading Toronto Blue Jays, who are at plus 35. They pulled one of their classic buy-sell maneuvers. https://nytimes.com/athletic/65218, 2025-07-28 Danny Jansen Brewers Rays trade on Monday, trading one catcher Danny Jansen and acquiring another, Nick Fortes. However, their next 3 games against the New York Yankees, the last of which is a 1 p.m. Eastern Time start on deadline day, will influence their next moves. The Rays are reluctant to trade second baseman Brandon Lowe, 1 more season of club control, and first baseman Yandy Diaz, 2 more. Owner Stuart Sternberg surely would prefer the team to do everything possible to make the playoffs in the final season before he sells the club. And the team's wild card deficit is only 2.5 games. In other words, they're only another hot streak away from being in an excellent position again. San Francisco Giants playoff odds, 20.0%. As The Athletic's Andrew Baggerly writes, https://www.nytimes.com/athletic/Giants Pirates Carson Whisenhunt debut. The Giants were 12 games over 500 on June 11, a half game out of first place in the NL West. 4 days later, they traded for Rafael Devers, and things were supposed to get even better. It hasn't happened. The Giants are the NL version of the Rays, playing poorly at the wrong time. Since the Devers trade, they're 13-22. In their last 12 games, they're 2-10. They've fallen 8 games back in the division and 4 back in the NL wildcard race. Buster Posey, in his first year heading baseball operations, surely wants to add another starter and a bat. However, as Baggerly and Will Salmon wrote, https://nightimes.com/athletic/651945/227 San Francisco Giants Camilo Doval trade potential. Maybe they should also consider sell-type moves, like a trade of closer Camilo Doval. Los Angeles Angels playoff odds, 3.9%. WDAW. What does Arte, as in owner Arte Moreno, want? The Angels are 4.5 games back in the AL wildcard race and 8 out in the AL West. They probably cannot make the playoffs unless they make a significant acquisition. However, if they are unwilling to trade prospects and Moreno is reluctant to boost the payroll, both likely scenarios, they probably would consider only piecemeal additions. If the Angels sold, something else Moreno might be unwilling to do. Closer Kenley Jansen is probably their only rental who might bring a meaningful return. Outfielders Taylor Ward, 1 more season of club control, and Joe Adell, 2 more, are both drawing significant interest. The Angels should at least explore what both might bring back in a thin market. However, even with minuscule playoff odds, Moreno might not want to concede. Texas Rangers playoff odds, 47.6%. The Rangers, after winning 9 of 10 and 27 of 42, dropped a Jacob deGrom start to the Angels on Monday night. Leading the majors in ERA, they want to buy. With manager Bruce Bochy in the twilight of his Hall of Fame career, they give every indication they will buy. Still, rival clubs sense the Rangers' proximity to the luxury tax threshold. https www.nytimes.com/athletic/65215/MLB trade deadline Guardians, Class A Brewers. Losses to the Angels the next 2 nights might evoke memories of the team's horrid first 2 months and give the club's leadership pause. A year ago, the Rangers declined to sell coming off a World Series title and regretted it. But they were 3 games under 500 then. They're 5 games above now, and their position in the standings, a half game out of the wild card race, and 4 back in the AL West, behind a Houston Astros team with 18 players on the injured list, is far more encouraging than it was at the start of June. Photo of Buster Posey, Andy Cuno, Getty Images, Ken Rosenthal, https://athletic/author.ken-rosenthal, is a senior baseball writer for The Athletic, who has spent nearly 40 years covering the major leagues. In addition, Ken is an Emmy Award-winning broadcaster for Fox Sports MLB telecasts. His peers voted him National Sports Writer of the Year in 2022 and 2024. Follow Ken on Twitter at Ken_Rosenthal, https://twitter.com/Ken Rosenthal. MLB Trade Deadline 2025, latest insights from Olney Passan. The 2025 MLB trade deadline is rapidly approaching, and with it comes a flurry of speculation and rumor. As the clock ticks down to the 6 p.m. ET deadline on Thursday, the baseball world is abuzz with potential deals that could reshape the landscape of the sport. This is the moment when teams either double down on their championship aspirations or begin rebuilding for the future. So far, the trade season has been relatively quiet, but there have been some notable moves. The Seattle Mariners, for instance, secured Josh Naylor, while the New York Yankees bolstered their lineup with Ryan McMahon. These early acquisitions set the stage for what could be a hectic final 48 hours. But here's where it gets controversial. With major names like Eugenio Suarez, Dylan Cease, and Luis Robert Jr. still on the table, the stakes are incredibly high. Which players will change teams? Which clubs will go all in to secure the best available talent? And which trades will ultimately have the most significant impact on the remainder of the season? To get the inside scoop, we turn to ESPN MLB insiders Buster Olney and Jeff Passan for their latest insights as the deadline looms. What's moving in the final hours? Olney, one of the most intriguing storylines is the New York Mets' pursuit of improvement. While the Arizona Diamondbacks are at the center of teams looking to unload players, the Mets might be the most aggressive buyers. They are actively seeking a starting pitcher who can handle crucial postseason games, along with relief pitching and an outfielder. Cedric Mullins of the Baltimore Orioles is a name that keeps coming up in discussions. Passan, another hot topic is the high demand for high-leverage relief pitchers, despite the limited supply. St. Louis' Ryan Helsley is the top rental option, but there are also controllable arms like Pittsburgh's David Bednar, Minnesota's Joan Duran and Griffin Jax, and Tampa Bay's Pete Fairbanks. Given the intense interest from teams like the Philadelphia Phillies, Toronto Blue Jays, Texas Rangers, Detroit Tigers, both New York teams, and the Los Angeles Dodgers, the asking price remains sky high. This scarcity has led to some creative negotiations, with teams like San Diego and San Francisco exploring deals for their own relievers. The biggest impact deal, Olney, the Phillies' acquisition of a late-inning reliever could be a game-changer. Whether it's Ryan Helsley or Griffin Jax, manager Rob Thompson will likely lean heavily on this new addition as they prepare for the postseason. The suspension of Jose Alvarado adds urgency to this need. Passan, the impact of any deal hinges on whether teams are willing to part with players under multi-year contracts. While the market for impending free agents is lackluster, the potential movement of players like Joe Ryan, Mackenzie Gore, Joanne Duran, Griffin Jax, and Stephen Kwan could shake things up. The cost is steep, but the deadline often brings unexpected decisions from front offices. Plans for division leaders. Passan, the Blue Jays are looking to add another reliever after acquiring Seranthony Dominguez from the Orioles. Detroit aims to strengthen their bullpen and is open to smaller trades. The Houston Astros are in the market for a starting pitcher, while the Mets are eyeing an arm and a center field bat. The Milwaukee Brewers are taking a more cautious approach, and the Dodgers are considering 7 teams in the AL have a plausible path to the World Series, and this could lead to some bold moves in the final hours. Tightening wildcard races. Only, the Chicago Cubs are keen on adding a frontline starter to replace Justin Steele. However, the Finn market might limit their options unless they can secure a deal for Joe Ryan or Merrill Kelly. The Yankees are focusing on bullpen help, and a right-handed hitting outfielder like Harrison Bader. The Phillies are aggressively pursuing a top-tier reliever and are also interested in Luis Robert Jr. The Mariners, meanwhile, are expected to make a move for their bullpen and could still land Eugenio Suarez. Passan, the Cubs are also considering Shane Bieber as an option. The Phillies are among the most active teams in the relief market and will add at least one solid reliever. The Yankees, while not as aggressive as they were a couple of weeks ago, are still looking to backfill their bullpen. The Mariners, with their wealth of top prospects, could surprise everyone by making a bold move, especially since they've never reached the World Series. Other available players. Passan. Teams are hoping that the asking prices for controllable players will drop by Wednesday. If not, they'll pivot to the rental market. Big names like Eugenio Suarez, Merrill Kelly, Zach Gallen, Luis Robert Jr., Bednar, Helsley, and Bieber have significant traction, and most are expected to be traded. Only relievers will dominate the final hours of trading. Teams are sorting through options like Danny Coulomb of the Twins, Pete Fairbanks of the Rays, and Seth Halverson of the Rockies. All contenders are looking to add relief pitching, and they are eyeing the same players. Most active teams, only the Tampa Bay Rays and Diamondbacks, are expected to be the most active sellers, while the San Diego Padres will look to bolster their offense and improve their playoff chances. Passan. The Orioles, despite recent trades, still have a lot to offer. The D-backs will be busy, and the Marlins, with stars like Sandy Alcantara and Edward Cabrera, could play a significant role. The Twins have multiple players on the market, including Duran, Jax, Colomb, and Willie Castro. The Pirates and Guardians also hold valuable assets, with the Guardians' Stephen Kwan and Shane Bieber attracting particular interest. Final thoughts only. The market is frustratingly slow, with teams holding firm on their asking prices. However, the dam will eventually break, leading to a flurry of deals, especially for relievers. Passan. The Padres are considering a major move, and the Twins continue to have high asks for their relief pitchers. The likelihood of the Guardians trading Kwan has increased, and the Phillies and Mets are being very aggressive. Some teams are also factoring in the potential impact of labor issues on the 2027 season. Despite the lack of star power, the volume of deals is expected to make up for it. And this is the part most people miss. The trade deadline isn't just about immediate wins. It's about long-term strategy. What do you think about the current state of the trade market? Do you agree with the aggressive moves, or do you think teams should be more cautious? Share your thoughts in the comments. MLB trade deadline. Top prospects to watch. The MLB trade deadline is almost here, and the baseball world is buzzing with anticipation. But here's where it gets controversial. With so many contenders in both leagues, the next 24 to 48 hours could see some blockbuster trades that shake up the season and the collectibles market. For collectors, this means keeping a close eye on top prospects who might be on the move. Let's dive into 3 players who could make waves both on the field and in the hobby scene. Leo DeVries / Padres. At just 18 years old, Leo DeVries has already cemented his status as one of baseball's brightest stars, ranked 3rd overall by MLB Pipeline and 5th by Baseball America. DeVries is projected to excel in every aspect of the game, with scouts praising his above-average traits. Signed by the Padres in 2024, he made his collectibles debut in Bowman Chrome 2024, quickly becoming a top chase for collectors. His hobby market remains strong, with base autos selling for $100 to $150 and a recent gold auto numbered to 50 fetching $2,000. While a trade seems unlikely, Padres executive A.J. Preller is known for bold moves, so DeVries is one to watch, and this is the part most people miss. If he lands on a more prestigious team, his already robust hobby market could soar even higher. Jostin Garcia, OF Red Sox, nicknamed the Password. Garcia has quietly climbed the ranks in the Red Sox farm system, cracking the top 100 lists of both Baseball America 95 and MLB Pipeline 89. Known for his exceptional batting eye and prodigious power, Garcia has been knocking on the door of the majors for weeks. However, Boston's crowded outfield has kept him in AAA. Signed in 2019 as a lesser-known prospect, Garcia's Bowman debut came in 2025, where he became a standout secondary chase. His hobby market is more modest, with base autos selling for $35 to $50 and numbered autos like his blue auto reaching $150. Here's the catch. With the Red Sox's outfield depth, Garcia is a strong trade candidate. While a move to a less prestigious team might dent his market, an MLB debut and continued success could quickly offset those losses. What do you think? Is Garcia's potential worth the risk? Justin Crawford, off Phillies, the son of former MLB outfielder Carl Crawford. Justin was drafted 17th overall by the Phillies in 2022. After a slow start, he's re-emerged as a top prospect, showcasing elite speed, a strong bat, and exceptional defensive skills as a true center fielder. Ranked 87th by Baseball America and 44th by MLB Pipeline, Crawford's star is on the rise. Collectors had to wait until Bowman 2023 for his hobby debut, but his market has rebounded nicely, with PSA 10 base autos selling for $120 to $200.
While a trade seems unlikely, Phillies executive Dave Dombrowski
is known for his aggressiveness at the deadline.
So Crawford's name is one to keep an eye on. But here's the question. If Crawford stays put, could his market grow even more as he continues to develop? Or would a trade to a contender boost his value further?
Let us know your thoughts in the comments.
For more trending collectibles insights, check out SI Collectibles, https://si.com/collectibles.
The deadline is almost here. Who do you think will be on the move?